Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us business coach Brooke Schultz. Brooke, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. Looking forward to chatting with you because I know you've got some really specific successes and ways that you help people transform their lives in business. And I know you're a Forbes published business coach for women entrepreneurs. So give us a little bit of your background and what you focus on in your agency.
Awesome. All right. So I'll give you a little bit of kind of an extended background. So my background, oddly enough, is in therapy. So I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. So when I started my business, I actually started doing life coaching. It was the obvious next step, right? Somebody who is a therapist, if you want to start a business, do life coaching. So I started doing life coaching, and within 6 months, I had built a six-figure business. So I realized, okay, I'm pretty good at this business stuff, and there is a need for it because I was seeing in so many different communities people really struggling to hit consistent income months and really grow their businesses. And so that was when I transitioned into what I do now. So now I do online business coaching specifically for women entrepreneurs who would like to have successful businesses. I always say that is built around their lives rather than the other way around.
Yeah. Kind of like the cliche lifestyle business.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, my clients all have these amazing, massive visions of like really neat things they want to do and really scaling their business to really cool places, but without it taking over their lives where they're working, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Now, do you focus on female entrepreneurs that are already up and running, they want to take it to the next level, or someone that goes, hey, I think I can start a side hustle?
Most of my clients, I would say, are past the side hustle point, but are not yet at that six-figure mark. So most of my clients, I would say 90% of them, if not more, already have a business, but aren't really sure like what to do with it. Like people without business degrees, right, who have never started businesses, who don't know, okay, how do I get this consistent income every single month, and how do I grow from there? How do I make it so I can, get pregnant and have kids and still be making the same money without working the same amount?
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point because the side hustle days are so much easier today than it was a decade ago because of just technology and things like that. But but then you hit that point where it's like, okay, I'm doing okay maybe, but I should be doing way better.
Absolutely. And I think something that I see happening so often that I'm sure you've probably noticed as well is people are working their butts off. They are working, and then it's that fear that comes up of, okay, if I take a step back, if I want to go on a vacation or if I want to take some time off, am I still going to be able to do this? Like, are the clients going to still come? Is the money still going to flow? And that's sustainability piece that people need.
Well, what do you say to people that are worried about that? What is the strategy there?
Oh, man, there are so many. I mean, I could sit and talk about that all day. The first thing I always recommend people do is set boundaries from day one. So often I see people starting businesses, scaling businesses, and they have that mindset of once I have X, Y, and Z done, that is when I'll, stop working at 7 p.m. or whatever, or I won't work on the weekends. But that doesn't usually happen. If you're working 7 days a week right now it's going to be to hit that six-figure mark. Once you hit the six-figure mark, it's going to be, okay, I'll stop doing this once I hit, $200,000. And then once it's that, it's, okay, I'll stop. There's always some other goal that you're going to keep reaching for. So you have to set those boundaries now. And that's also my next thing that I always tell people is have some kind of a resource in your business where you can serve your ideal clients, you can serve your people really well without it taking an abundance of your time. So passive income sources or one-to-many, there are so many different kinds of things you can do, but have some kind of a resource where it's not trading time for money.
That's a really big point. I've said it so many times over the years to my clients where I say, at the end of the day, whatever time that is you knock off, did you get everything done? They're like, of course not. And I'm like, you could knock off at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whatever, and you still, it always just like almost like self-replicates, and there's always something more you can do, and always something different. And just think back in your business 5 years ago and go, well, you know what? Were you doing, like for instance, maybe podcasting wasn't on the scene back when you started your business, but now it is. Well, what's the next thing past that? And what's the thing before podcasting was? And what's the thing before that? And the point with that is there's always that next thing that is not a shiny object, but it's just the next thing you need to be focused on. So having those boundaries, and I'll tell you something else, I'll bet you that a lot of your clients are working from home. So then another aspect of boundaries is get out of the office, because it's so easy to pop back in there and fire up the computer.
100%. And I also think something that's important is understanding that if you slip up, it's okay. I know for myself, I catch myself doing it sometimes too. I just did it a couple days ago. It was like 11 p.m. And I should not have been working at all. And I just found myself gravitating over to the office to go grab something. And my fiance was like, Brooke, what are you doing? I'm like, oh. Thank you.
I literally did that at 9 p.m. last night as well. I saw an email come in, and I was like, I could do it in the morning, but I'm just gonna. And I had to log in and take a screenshot of this and send it off, and I'm like, And now one thing that I do, and this is just something where, I mean, you need to, in your own personal life, for myself and my family, we are faithful attenders of church. Well, I don't work on Sunday. So for me, it is easy to go, okay, Saturday, whenever I knock off Saturday, that's great. But I don't go in and check emails, and I don't do work. So that right there is a little buffer that way. And if your day is Saturday or whatever you pick for your buffer, but I think that's such a big point that you are bringing up is not only proximity buffer, like don't go back into the office, but then also time. Don't you find that the part of the reason for that is your mind is always on, and if you always have that, you need that time where I know that growing up you'd be like, don't play video games and watch TV because it's mindless. But I think as an entrepreneur, sometimes you need to watch that TV show just to kind of unplug and veg out.
100%. I say that all the time. Sometimes the best self-care is binge watching Netflix.
Right. Thank you. Sorry, Mom. But I think for I'm so focused as an entrepreneur, and I'm doing all this stuff and go and grind and push, that I think that man, when I wind down and I want to turn the TV on, it's mindless sitcom, whatever that it is, but it works for you. And I think that sometimes like I'm in Colorado and we go up to the mountains and ATV, and sometimes you're out in nature and you're like, you know what? This big aha epiphany moment just hit me, because I'm not grinding. I'm out relaxing, and let me grab a pen and paper and write it down to handle later.
Yes, that was going to be the next thing I was going to say. Sometimes when I'm not working, when I'm like paying attention to my boundaries, that's when I get the greatest ideas. And it's okay. Like I write them down. I'll, pull up a note in my phone, or I'll grab a piece of paper and jot it down, but then I won't revisit it until it's working hours.
Yeah, that's a really big one. Okay, so you mentioned something just in passing when you did your intro, and I want to go back to it because I think that you're like, oh yeah, it was just cool. I just hit 6 figures at the age of 23 with no business degree and just did it. Really? Okay, so we could talk for like 19 hours on that one piece, but what would you say is some of the, traits or strategies that you even unknowingly did, but looking back on it, what were some of the things that you would point to say, it was because of these things that I now coach my clients on?
Oh man, that's a great question. So, okay, a little bit more of a backstory. This is kind of funny. One day I was looking for corporate jobs. I had graduated with my master's, and I was, applying to jobs and going on interviews, and literally it was like a light switch. All of a sudden one day I was like, I don't want to be doing this. Why am I even entertaining this? And that day I started looking for my own coach. I started looking for what resources I needed to get started. The next day, literally not even 24 hours later, I had invested over $15,000 in my own support. Wow. And it was scary as all. I'm not going to tell you I did it with no problem, because here I am, this 22 or 23-year-old girl, and here I am, throwing $15,000 that I didn't have into a business that I wasn't sure if it was going to work without a business degree. But I really credit that as being a huge part of my success, because from day one, I dove in head first. And I wasn't buying, the $200 courses that provided me with knowledge, but not necessarily the support. I dove in head first. And at that point, it was like, okay, I just spent $15,000 that I don't have, and I'm not looking back. If you think I'm investing $15,000 in something that's not going to work, you are horribly mistaken.
Yeah.
And I think like that mindset right there of like, I'm going to do it no matter what was a huge part of it. And something that I've kind of continued on with my business is feeling that fear, but doing it anyway. And it's not just with investments. Sometimes it's, going on and making a webinar. And maybe it's something that I'm scared to talk about, but I feel it and then I do it. And so rather than thoughts, I take action. And I think that's something that
we need to pause on that too, because that's another thing that I think a lot of people get hung up on, which is, in business, marketing is a cost. No, it's an investment. Well, even before that, you hear the Jim Rohns of the world and the Tony Robbins, invest more in yourself and personal development, because then that is going to help you in your business venture. But what do you say to people that go, I can't swallow or stomach the fact of investing X in course, coach, whatever you want to call it, but that's the thing that all of a sudden just boom, opens your mind to opportunities, or just gets you in that mindset to take your business to the next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it needs to be a conversation. And just with my therapy background, one thing that I'm a huge advocate of is having that conversation and validating the emotion, rather than having that conversation of, oh, well, this is what you need to be doing. And if you don't do it, you're going to fail. I'm not a fan of that. I like to sit down and have conversations with people. Yeah, you're right. It is really scary. It is scary to throw, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, or even I know Tony Robbins charges $1 million to work with him. So it's a large sum of money, and it's okay to be scared.
Yeah.
And when you, I think, validate that for people and you let them know, hey, I see you, I get it, I think it becomes a little bit more palatable for people, because all people want is to feel heard, to feel understood. And when they feel that, like, okay, I'm thinking about investing with you as my coach, and you get that it's scary, and you get that, like, I'm terrified of this, all of a sudden I think it becomes less scary because you're validating that fear for them.
Yep. Well, and the other thing too is, if someone's listening to this going, okay, that's me, I might be scared and I need to invest, or if they're already the successful entrepreneur wanting to take the business to the next level and thinking about their prospects that they might be scared about investing with them, and this person would be your client, here's what I think one of the magic bullet pieces would be is, hey, been there, done that, feel, felt, found, whatever you want to say, but one of the pieces would be, you know what, let me show you this case study I just had done with one of my clients, Betty. And Betty felt the same way, but let's read through this. Let me send you this PDF. Now, you see this first section here? She was doing this, and what we accomplished together was that, and we pushed through that barrier, and now look what she's doing. And I think if you can, get way past, like, give me a review or a testimonial and build out some really detailed case studies, that will help people to make that decision for you, right?
Absolutely. And I think something kind of going off what you were just saying, something that's really important that I've noticed is showing people the whole picture, because I can sit and say to you, I built a 6-figure business in 6 months and talk about, where I'm at now, which is amazing. But a lot of times people aren't even thinking about that. Like, I know when I started my business, that wasn't my vision. My vision was, let's replace my corporate salary, which I would have been getting paid, $40,000 to $50,000 a year. Now, I have sales months that are more than that. So if you would have said to me early on in my business, you can be making $50,000 a month, I would have been like, no. I just want to replace my salary. It's fine. So I think letting people in on that there's, a huge scale of like where you can be. And just because, I have clients who are already making, $500,000-$600,000 a year are having $100,000 launches doesn't mean that you need to get nervous or anxious about that, because it's possible for you later. It's even possible for you now, but wherever you're ready to start, we'll start there.
Yes.
I think that's
and probably what we're all dancing around here talking about is a really important ingredient in success, which is mindset.
100%. Yes, you have to believe it in order to achieve it. And it sounds super cliche, but it's so important.
Yeah, but, we could probably relate it back to things like, let's say, let's think about something. When a client comes to you for the first time, they're typically making about what? you said maybe 50,000 a year ish as an example?
They're all different. One of my most recent clients, she makes 6 figures a year, but it's in a different business, and she's wanting to build a new business. So all of my clients are different. But I would say they're probably at, I'm sorry?
I was just going to say where I was going with that is, let's say that there was a client that you worked with that was at 50,000 and they say, I want to take it to the next level. Well, their level of belief currently is at 50, but guess what? They started off at $1. They started off at nothing, so
or zero.
They had to go somewhere. So they had to expand their thinking to get to the 50,000 a year. Oh my word! I thought this was a side hustle, and I never thought I could. I just wanted to pay my car, loan every month, and now I'm at 50,000 a year. That's awesome. Well, the same mindset, expanding, belief system that they had to go through from side hustle to 50K, they now can go from 50K to wherever you're going to take them. So I think that's, it's not like, wow, we're going to go from 50,000 to 50 trillion. It has to be realistic. You got to believe it.
Absolutely. No, that's a great point. It's the mindset work that we have to be doing at all times, no matter if you're at, when I started my business, I was at negative 15,000.
Yeah, right.
A hot minute there.
Right. That's not a good spot to be at. So probably you, in doing the kind of work you do, you've kind of niched it to female entrepreneurs, and that's kind of a little bit of a targeted segment. But I'll bet you've got a competitor or two, which everyone has. What would you say, or what do you explain to people that sets you apart? What's your competitive advantage? Why pick you?
I think for me, the biggest thing that I bring to the table is just my background and understanding people. My background is not in business. And I always say a lot of my clients will come to me and are thinking like, okay, this is what I want to do, but I don't have the training for that. And so the example I always use is, would you want to hire somebody who has a degree in business but has bankrupt 3 businesses? Or would you want to hire somebody who never went to college, dropped out of school as a sophomore in high school, but has built a multi-million-dollar business and has helped, countless clients do the same thing. And every single person is going to pick the latter. And so I bring the business knowledge to the table in the sense that I've done it and I've helped clients do it. And then I also bring my educational background, which is very different. It's understanding people, which is really important when it comes to sales and, really growing your business. And so it just brings a very different perspective than what most people have.
Yeah,
which I think is a big part as to why I built my business so quickly, because I understand people, and that's why my clients have really good success.
Awesome. So do you have a specific process that you take people through, or is that customized for each individual client?
Yes to both of those questions. I do have a specific process. I have guidelines that I use with my clients, but of course they're tailored to each of my clients, where they're at and what they're looking for.
Yeah. Well, and I guess it kind of, it's, in other words, it's not like if someone was listening to this, oh, wow, here's that cookie cutter template and I've got to fit into that.
Nope.
Well, that's not a good way to serve clients. You want to have like guidelines and train, track to run on, but let's see where you are, where you want to go, and then we're going to make it, really, really customized to you.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I see a lot of beginning entrepreneurs do, is they say like, okay, Brooke is having a lot of success with, let's say, webinars. I'm going to go run a webinar and I'm going to do it the same way as Brooke. And then when they don't see success, it's like, well, there's something wrong. What am I doing?
Right.
It's like every business is different. Every entrepreneur is different. Every set of ideal clients is different. So you can't look at someone else's business model and think it's going to work for you. And that's why having that support is so important, because your business is different.
Yep. Well, cool. So let's wrap up with what's the best way that if someone is listening to this and wants to reach out and find out if maybe making that investment in themselves to work with you might be a good fit, what's the best way they can connect with you?
Yeah, awesome. The best way to connect with me would be through my website. So people can access my website. It's www.brookeeschultz.com. There's an extra E in there, so don't miss that.
Excellent.
My first name, E, last name.
Perfect. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for your time. It was really fun chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.